Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to an exciting deep dive into one of the most fascinating discoveries in the world of coin collecting, where ordinary change can turn into life-changing treasure. And today we're talking about the incredible 1995 1-cent coin that has taken the spotlight in the numismatic world because of its extraordinary value and the remarkable story behind it. A coin that is believed to be worth as much as $29 million due to its combination of rare minting errors, historical context, and the powerful mystery that has drawn collectors from all corners of the world to chase after this tiny copper piece that hides an unbelievable fortune in plain sight. And if you've ever checked your loose change or coin jar thinking there might be something special hidden inside, this is the story that proves it's possible. The 1995 1-cent coin, minted in Denver, might seem at first glance like any ordinary Lincoln cent, featuring the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But behind its simple appearance lies a blend of minting mistakes that have made it one of the most talked about coins of modern times. And what makes it so fascinating is not just its rarity but the sheer number of possible errors and production anomalies that have been discovered in different examples, each adding layers of intrigue and value for collectors. One of the most notable and immediately visible features in this particular 1995 cent is the dramatic doubling of the obverse lettering, where the phrase, "In God We Trust and Liberty," appear to be slightly offset or shadowed, a result of what experts call a double die obverse, a type of error that occurs when the coin die itself is struck more than once but not perfectly aligned, creating a doubling effect on the design that collectors find mesmerizing. This kind of error is one of the most sought after in the hobby because it provides clear, eye-visible evidence of something going wrong in the minting process, and in this case, the sharpness and intensity of the doubling make it a standout among modern coins. But what pushes the 1995 cent into legendary status is that, beyond the doubling, there are reports of additional anomalies in certain specimens, including off-center strikes where the coin's image appears slightly misaligned with the rim, die cracks that create raised lines on the coin's surface like veins of metal, and in some cases, planchet errors where the copper coating was uneven or missing entirely in areas, giving parts of the coin a different color tone or texture. These multiple layers of imperfection make each example unique, and in the world of high-end collecting, uniqueness translates directly into value. The story gets even more interesting when we consider that 1995 was a transitional period for the US Mint, when technology was advancing and production rates were increasing rapidly, which left room for occasional human oversight and mechanical misalignment, leading to coins like this slipping through quality control unnoticed. Over the years, only a handful of these 1995 era cents have been verified by grading companies in near-perfect condition, often with labels such as MS67 or MS68, and their scarcity in such grades has caused auction prices to skyrocket whenever one appears for sale. It's not uncommon for error coins to attract attention, but few have reached the mythic level of fame this one has, with stories of private collectors offering millions to obtain one of the most perfect and clearly doubled specimens known to exist. The intrigue doesn't end with the doubling itself. There are rumors and documented cases of other varieties where the reverse side of the coin shows faint signs of die rotation, meaning the Lincoln Memorial appears slightly tilted relative to the obverse, or where the edges have unusual reading patterns or flattened rims caused by a misaligned collar during striking. Each of these tiny inconsistencies adds to the narrative of how this coin managed to defy minting precision and slip into circulation as a masterpiece of imperfection. When you think about it, a coin worth just 1 cent being valued at $29 million sounds almost unbelievable, but it makes sense when we realize that numismatic value isn't about face value, it's about rarity, history, condition, and the story that surrounds it. Collectors aren't just buying metal, they're buying a moment in time, a snapshot of the mint's history, a symbol of imperfection turned perfection. The 1995 cent embodies all of that. Imagine holding a coin that most people would overlook, yet beneath a magnifying glass, it reveals characteristics that connect it directly to one of the rarest production errors ever seen in a modern mint. Experts say that part of the coin's mystique comes from how cleanly struck the doubling is, almost as if it were intentional, leading to debates about whether this was purely accidental or the result of experimental die creation that somehow got released prematurely. Some believe the mint might have tried testing new die engraving methods during that period and that a small number of these test strikes were accidentally mixed with regular production coins, escaping into circulation unnoticed until sharp-eyed collectors began spotting them years later. This theory, if true, makes the 1995's D1 cent coin an unintentional piece of mint history, a rare survivor of a secret test run. Another layer of fascination comes from its composition. While all Lincoln cents of that era were made of copper-plated zinc, a few 1995 D examples have been found with slightly different weights, suggesting planchette inconsistencies or metal mixture variations, and in numismatics, such variations can multiply a coin's worth several times over. Add to that the coins that were struck on slightly thinner or thicker planchets, resulting in off-weight errors, and you get an even smaller subset of ultra-rare variants. Now imagine one coin combining all these: double die, die cracks, off-center strike, rotated die, and planchette variation, and you can see why collectors might go to extremes to own it. When one of these coins was reportedly auctioned privately, stories circulated about bids reaching into the tens of millions, driven not just by rarity but by prestige. Owning such a coin is like owning a piece of American history that shouldn't exist in the first place. It's a coin that tells a story of human imperfection, technological limitation, and the serendipity that turns mistakes into masterpieces. For passionate collectors, coins like the 1995's D-cent represent the thrill of the hunt, the chance that something so small and seemingly insignificant can hold unimaginable value. It inspires people to search their change, inspect their old coin jars, and pay attention to those minor details most people would ignore. Even the tiniest doubling on the letters, the faintest die crack across Lincoln's shoulder, or the subtlest tilt in alignment can transform a 1-cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The $29 million valuation may sound staggering, but it reflects not just market speculation but the coin's mythical status, because in the numismatic community, demand for unique, error-laden, and perfectly preserved examples can push prices into legendary territory, and this particular coin sits right at the intersection of rarity, desirability, and historical intrigue. It's a symbol of how a minor mistake in the minting process can lead to something extraordinary, a perfect storm of imperfections that transformed a 1-cent piece into a treasure that could rival fine art or rare gems in value. Stories like these continue to captivate coin enthusiasts and everyday people alike, reminding us that hidden fortunes can still be found in the most unexpected places. So the next time you come across a 1995's D penny, take a moment to look closely, because that tiny copper coin might just be one of the rarest and most valuable pieces of modern American history, and who knows, it could be the next multi-million-dollar discovery that changes everything. Next, 1973 1-cent USA coin, we dive into the most fascinating and unbelievable stories from the world of rare coins and hidden treasures, and today's topic will truly blow your mind because we're talking about the 1973 1-cent coin, a penny that most people would overlook or toss into a jar without thinking twice. But one specific example of this coin has stunned collectors and experts alike by being valued at a jaw-dropping $28 million due to a combination of minting errors, historical rarity, and unique circumstances that make it one of the most astonishing coins in US history. Now, imagine holding something so small, so seemingly insignificant, yet so incredibly valuable because of a few microscopic mistakes that turned it into a collector's dream. The 1973 1-cent coin, commonly known as the Lincoln cent, was minted in huge quantities by the United States Mint, with millions of them released into circulation, so the idea that one could be worth millions seems almost impossible. But that's the magic of numismatics, the science and art of coin collecting, where small imperfections, rare variants, and unique production quirks can transform a simple copper piece into a multi-million-dollar treasure. The 1973 pennies story begins with the fact that during that era, the US Mint was in the middle of experimenting with different metal compositions because of the rising cost of copper, so while most 1973 pennies were made from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, there were test strikes and transitional errors that slipped through quality control. One of the most famous mistakes linked to this coin is believed to be a wrong planchette error, meaning that a few 1973 1-cent coins were accidentally struck on bronze planchets meant for earlier years or even on foreign coin blanks intended for use in other countries, giving them a slightly different weight, color, and sound when dropped on a surface, making them instantly recognizable to sharp-eyed collectors. Another major feature that skyrocketed the value of certain 1973 cents is the presence of double die obverse errors, where the coin's front, especially around the date 1973 and the word Liberty or In God We Trust, shows noticeable doubling due to a misalignment during the minting process. And these doubling errors create a striking visual effect that makes the coin appear like it's vibrating with extra detail. Such an error is highly prized because it's visible to the naked eye and extremely rare for that particular year. Then there's the possibility of a no mint mark variation, where some coins were accidentally struck without the D or S mint mark indicating Denver or San Francisco, making them appear as though they were minted in Philadelphia, which didn't officially strike business strike pennies in 1973. This absence of a mint mark adds to the rarity, as it could mean that a small batch was mistakenly produced under unusual conditions. In some cases, misstruck coins from this year have also shown off-center strikes, where part of Lincoln's portrait is missing or the rim is unevenly spaced, which might look like a defect to the average person, but to collectors, it represents a unique fingerprint of minting history. Another factor that fuels the $28 million price tag is the possibility of a prototype or experimental strike coin, a 1973 1 cent that was never meant for public release, possibly produced during the mint's internal testing phase for new metal compositions or press calibrations. Such experimental coins are known as pattern coins and can fetch astronomical prices because they offer a glimpse into what could have been, serving as a snapshot of American minting evolution. In fact, similar transitional errors have occurred before and fetched huge sums, such as the famous 1943 copper penny or the 1944 steel cent, both born from wartime metal shifts and both valued at millions today. The 1973 cent fits into this legacy of historic anomalies, representing the same class of miracles where timing, technology, and human error align perfectly to create something priceless. Some collectors believe that a small number of these pennies were struck using leftover 1972 dies, meaning subtle differences in Lincoln's portrait and the lettering exist, which experts can verify under magnification, and those slight die variations can elevate a coin's desirability immensely. Then, there are rumors of a few 1973 cents being struck with proof-quality finishes on regular planchets, meaning they were produced with extra polish but ended up mixed into general circulation, a blend of mint brilliance and accident that makes them almost mythical. Over the years, coin hunters, metal detector enthusiasts, and estate sale pickers have discovered a few examples of rare 1973 variants with distinct traits such as broad strikes, clipped planchets, and even lamination errors where the metal surface peels slightly, revealing the underlying layers, each contributing to the narrative that something as tiny as a cent can carry a story worth millions. But why exactly would one of these coins reach a value as high as $28 million? The answer lies not only in its rarity but in the intense demand from private collectors and wealthy investors who treat unique coins as tangible pieces of American history and works of art in their own right. When a coin with such peculiar features enters the market, especially in pristine condition with perfect details and certified authenticity from grading authorities like PCGS or NGC, bidding wars ignite, and prices can soar beyond imagination. Combine that with the legend of human error, the symbolism of Lincoln's portrait, and the nostalgia of an era when pennies still mattered in daily transactions, and suddenly, the coin transcends its face value, becoming an icon of both history and chance. Some believe that the coin's exceptional condition and the preservation of its luster, known in numismatic terms as mint state red, play a huge part, as a flawless, original shine adds exponential value. Others point to the fact that the 1973 coin's errors may have occurred in such a minuscule batch that only one or two exist in the world, making it effectively one of a kind, and in the collector's world, uniqueness equals fortune. The 1973 1 cent also captures attention because it symbolizes a moment in US mint history when technology was improving but still not perfect, a reminder that even precision machinery can produce artful accidents. The fascination also comes from the detective work involved in discovering such pieces. Imagine a person casually sorting through old change and spotting something unusual about a penny's shine, weight, or lettering, then realizing it's worth millions. This mix of mystery, discovery, and luck keeps stories like the 1973 penny alive and endlessly viral online. Coin experts speculate that other 1973 pennies with unreported anomalies might still be out there, sitting in coffee cans, drawers, or old jars waiting to be found, and that possibility alone keeps treasure hunters searching every single cent they come across. It's this blend of history, scarcity, craftsmanship, and the allure of error that transforms an ordinary penny into a $28 million masterpiece. Every tiny imperfection, every doubling of a letter, every missing mint mark, every minute misalignment, tells a story of the minting process, the machines, and the people behind them. The fact that such a coin has survived for decades without being damaged or melted adds another layer of amazement, making it not just a coin but a time capsule of 1970s America, when copper still dominated and digital minting precision had not yet taken over. So, the next time you find an old penny in your pocket or among your spare change, take a moment to look closely, check the year, the mint mark, the details, the edges, because who knows, you might just be holding the next multi-million-dollar treasure, like the 1973 1-cent coin that defied all odds, turned a simple cent into a legendary artifact, and proved once again that even the smallest things can carry the biggest stories in the world of rare collectibles. Last 1991 cent USA coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures where ordinary-looking pennies can turn into life-changing fortunes. And today we are talking about the incredible 1991 cent coin, a humble copper-colored piece that has shocked collectors and experts by being valued at a staggering $27 million because of its rare errors, historical significance, and mysterious minting mistakes that make it one of the most talked about coins in American numismatic history. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this small piece of metal is worth more than luxury cars, houses, and even some priceless works of art. Imagine holding a coin that was meant to be worth just 1 cent but ends up being worth millions. That's the kind of magic that the world of rare coin collecting can bring, and the 1991 cent coin is one of those incredible pieces that tell a story far beyond its size. Now, what makes this particular 1990 penny so special starts with its origin and the time it was minted, because in the early 1990s the US Mint was in the process of transitioning and refining its designs and materials for coins, which led to a few unexpected and extremely valuable mistakes slipping through. One of the most significant and rarest errors found on a 1990 penny is the no mint mark error from the Philadelphia Mint, meaning that some coins were struck without the PM mark that was supposed to be on the Lincoln cent during that year, and that small absence of a tiny letter dramatically changed its fate in the collector's market. But the story doesn't end there, because another variant of the 1990 penny, known as the 1990s D, minted in Denver, had its own share of striking flaws, including double-die obverse errors, where the design elements on Lincoln's portrait or the inscriptions like "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" appear double due to slight misalignments during the striking process. This kind of error not only creates a visually fascinating effect but also exponentially increases the value of the coin because of its rarity. Some collectors have reported discovering pennies with off-center strikes from 1990, where the design is not properly aligned with the coin's edges, leaving part of the coin blank and part of the design cut off, a mistake that transforms it into a collector's dream because each off-center strike is unique, making no two coins identical. Another type of rare minting mistake that has been identified in the 1991 cent coins involves planchet errors, where the coin was struck on the wrong type of metal or on a defective blank planchet that could cause missing details, weak strikes, or unusual color variations, and these planchet issues add mystery and charm to the coin story because they showcase the imperfections that escape the mint's strict quality control process. Some of these coins were even struck on copper planchets that were left over from the pre-1982 era, when pennies were made primarily of copper rather than the newer copper-plated zinc, creating an incredible hybrid error that is both a historical and metallurgical curiosity. Experts believe that only a few of these mixed metal 1990 pennies exist, and the fact that they combine old composition with new design elements makes them among the most desirable Lincoln cents ever discovered. Another fascinating error tied to the 1990 penny is the die clash error, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly impressions of the reverse design on the front or vice versa, giving the coin an eerie mirrored image effect that captivates collectors and tells a story of mechanical chaos inside the minting machines. Such coins carry immense historical intrigue because they show the actual process of minting gone wrong, frozen forever in metal. Some of the 1990 pennies also display broad strike errors, where the retaining collar that shapes the edge of the coin fails during striking, allowing the metal to spread outward and create a coin that is larger and flatter than normal. And while that might look like a mistake to the average eye, to coin collectors it's a jackpot because it proves a genuine minting anomaly. Then there are the double denomination errors, extremely rare but possible, where a coin is accidentally struck on top of another denomination's blank, for example, a 1-cent coin struck over a dime planchet, resulting in traces of two different designs merged into one coin, a phenomenon so unusual that examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars individually, and if discovered from 1990, such an error could easily justify a multi-million-dollar valuation. Now, why would a 1990 penny be valued as high as $27 million? The answer lies in the perfect storm of rarity, condition, historical context, and collector demand. For instance, if a coin like the 1990 no-S proof penny was found in pristine, uncirculated condition, with full red luster and perfect strike, its value could skyrocket in the numismatic market due to its extreme scarcity. Only a handful of these have ever been confirmed to exist, and they are highly sought after because they were never supposed to leave the US Mint's testing facility, making any surviving examples almost mythical. Combine that with an error like a double die or off-metal strike, and you're looking at a coin that could command record-breaking auction prices. Imagine a collector auction where wealthy enthusiasts, investors, and museums compete for ownership of a single coin, driving the price into the tens of millions. That's exactly the kind of bidding war that could make a 1990 penny hit the $27 million mark. Moreover, the emotional and historical significance of the Lincoln cent adds even more depth to its appeal. The Lincoln penny, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, carries one of the most recognized and beloved designs in American coinage history, and each era of its production tells a unique story of American progress, technology, and even mistakes that slipped through the cracks. For collectors, owning a rare 1990 penny isn't just about having metal, it's about holding a piece of living history, a symbol of human imperfection turned into priceless art. Some coins from 1990 have been graded by professional coin grading services with exceptional designations like MS70 or PR70, meaning they are in perfect condition, untouched, and preserved as if they just left the mint press yesterday. And these grades play a huge role in determining value because in the high-end coin market, perfection is everything. Even minor details like die cracks, cuds, or missing letters can drastically influence how collectors perceive rarity, and the 1990 penny has shown an astonishing variety of such imperfections that continue to spark debates among experts about how many types truly exist. Stories of lucky people finding these rare coins in everyday pocket change or inherited jars of old pennies continue to inspire treasure hunters and hobbyists to check every coin closely because one lucky discovery could change their life forever. It's fascinating how something so small can hold so much mystery, but that's the beauty of numismatics. The hidden gems are often right in front of us, waiting to be noticed. Some researchers even speculate that there are undiscovered 1990-era pennies still out there in circulation or buried in collections, unnoticed for decades, and if one of these turns out to have multiple overlapping errors, like a double die with off-center strike and no mint mark, it could easily be the most valuable penny ever known, worthy of its multi-million-dollar fame. Every expert agrees that coins like this are not just collectibles, they are historical artifacts that connect generations, reflecting both the precision and imperfection of human craftsmanship. So, the 1991 cent coin worth $27 million isn't just about a number, it's about rarity beyond imagination, a story of minting mysteries, the allure of human error, and the unending passion of collectors who see beauty and value in the smallest details. Whether it's the missing mint mark, the double die, the off-metal strike, or the perfect proof that wasn't meant to exist, each aspect of the 1990 penny adds a layer of intrigue that transforms it from an everyday coin into a legendary treasure. So next time you find an old penny lying around, take a closer look, because history has shown that even a simple 1-cent coin could be hiding a story worth millions, and who knows, maybe the next $27 million discovery is sitting right in your pocket waiting to be found.